All right, another Bull of MLM Network Marketing Warfare podcast. I got with me Ray Higdon today. I got to dive right in this one off the bat because I know I talked about this for a few people and I wanted to leave this a little bit excited. I didn't want to promote that I was having Ray Higdon on because this is like having like the president on, if you will. It's like you got to die to get this interview. So I'm fanboying out for a little bit of a second. I appreciate you coming on. Ray, thank you so much for that. I'm not going to get into an introduction, guys. Ray Higdon is one of the biggest names in the network marketing industry. And I'm going to tell you flat out, go to rayhigdon.com or search social media. It's not going to do justice to talk about his accomplishments. He has so much generous content out there for people to wind up absorbing into the industry. I guarantee he's impacted every one of us who's successful in this industry. So I really want to get into a great conversation. If you're interested in finding out who Ray Higdon is, go do the research. It's well worth it. You will spend hours finding out who this man is and what he's done with our industry. So Ray, thanks for joining today. Really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
100%. I'm just excited. Listen, let's get into this. The network marketing industry has seen unbelievable growth in the last 24 months because of the pandemic. You know, people like me for years were always trying to get people on the living room presentations, always trying to get people to do the virtual businesses. And then when we saw the pandemic hit, we saw our opportunity to go, well, now we're going to utilize Zoom. And now people are looking to find jobs and income. What I want to talk about the positive and the negatives that you've seen in the last 24 months of the industry, the growth-wise, because we've had companies have 3% increase in sales, companies that are 50 and 60 years old reporting 12% increase. The industry's exploding, but you, from your position, you've got a unique eye to see so many nuances of this. What are you liking that you're seeing with the industry, and what are you not liking that you think needs correction?
Yeah. So, you're right. I mean, the pandemic did some, really interesting things. I mean, it used to be such a wild idea for the average ordinary person to work from home or make money from home. And now that they got a taste of that by either working virtually or having to stay home, they kind of like it. And so, they learned what a lot of network marketers already knew. And that is, the flexibility of working out of your house and, the tax benefits, et cetera. And so, that part, definitely good. When the pandemic was going on and the quarantine and everything, there were definitely people, freaking out. And, I think most companies saw a big jump, like you said. For some of these companies, they missed the lesson of connecting with these people, and those same people have since left. And so there's a lot of companies that had a big influx, adjusted their customer service kind of reps, but the leaders didn't get the memo that they should be really connecting with these people and having a great culture. And so when either the wind got too strong or they got their job back, they quit. And so there's some companies that are dealing with having to lay off a bunch of people because they brought on all these people because of the explosion. And then when people weren't getting connected and not staying and leaving, then they had to let those people go. And so, but the big thing is, I forget who said it, but once a mind is stretched, it can never go back to the same shape. And there's a lot of millions and millions of people now that have a taste of working from home, that have a taste of making money from home. And so, network marketing became a possibility for a lot more people than had ever considered it. They had never considered doing it. And so I do think, two things going on right now is, one, you have that a much larger openness of working from home now than ever before. And two, you have something different going on now with inflation. There's a lot of people that are needing to make an extra few $100 a month, and network marketing is a great opportunity to do that. There are some things that companies need to work on, And I look at, what companies are thriving. And, to me, there's two main components to it. And there's, maybe a couple, secondary components, but one of them is um, the ability for someone to make a decent income by retailing product. Not everyone wants to be a super recruiter. Not everyone wants to be a leader. And so there's way more consumers than there are consumer entrepreneurs. And so companies really, need to be smart about how much are they paying out on that initial purchase? How much are they paying out on selling that product or getting people on a service? And can someone make decent money by retailing the product or the service? In the past, most network marketing companies, you really couldn't, right? You would sell a $100 service, make $2, or you would sell $100 kit, make some volume, which would equate to $4 or $5, and that just, I think that model is really, really tough. And so increasing how much is a network marketer getting paid if they retail the product or service, especially on that initial sale. And then number two is just not being so controlling. If you look at the companies that are thriving, a lot of them have, big influencers and people that write books, that have courses, that do other things. And, we just had our event and we had literally the greatest names in, network marketing there. We had people like, Coach Stormy, we had Stormy Wellington, we had Gloria Mayfield Banks, we had, Angel Fletcher. We just had so many rock stars there. And many of them are great representations of their company, great representations of network marketing. But they write books. They have other things. There's other things that they're involved in. They speak at company specific events, and that's a good thing. And so I think the loosening of the control that some network marketing companies have had is a good idea, while increasing the profit one can make on the initial sale of the product or service. Because if you don't do that, then you're going to have people make money from home, but they're going to do, the gig economy, right? They're going to do, Uber Eats or Uber or whatever. But there's no residual in that. There's no freedom in that. And so we need to lean in where we're strong and get people to understand that, you bring in a customer, you're getting paid on them forever, and, unless they stop ordering. And that's a very, very big advantage that we have over most other options.
You're teaching, rayhigdon.com. You can Google you can YouTube you, and you're teaching. I remember years ago listening to you. You're very methodical. You're very business when you wind up teaching, and it's almost like it's not the opposite of your personality, meaning that we have to engage people by entertaining them, and then the result is to educate them. And I can't believe the first time I saw your content years ago, I'm like, all right, this guy's got high energy. But then when I listened to you, I took you extremely seriously. I was very impressed. I'm like, okay, this man is teaching this industry. Why do you think that even with people like you again, I don't know how many years you've been doing this, where you're constantly offering education in this industry, why do we still have such a bad reputation for this industry when unbelievable value like yours is available for anyone? Why is this industry still got this stigma?
I mean, there's a lot of reasons for that. One of the greatest benefits of network marketing is also one of its issues, and that's the low barrier to entry. So, if you buy a Domino's franchise, it's $250,000, and they tell you it's a 10-year return on investment. So that means before you profit and put $1 in your pocket, you're working 10 years, right? Crazy. And so what kind of person is a loosey-goosey, hey, I'll give it a shot, going to buy a Domino's? No, that's like someone saying, okay, buckle up. We'll make this happen. 10 years, we'll be in the black. And so, the fact that, most people can join a network marketing company for $100, most people treat it like that kind of transaction. And so, they don't have to have continuing education. They don't have to have a degree. They don't have to even understand anything really. And so they get in not knowing much, not being trained very well, and even the training they are presented with is optional. And they go out there and left to their own devices, they say stupid things. They say things like how easy it is or whatever. And so just to kind of, I think a big issue with network marketing is it's for some at least, it's hard to compare to anything else. So when you can't compare it to anything else, you kind of discard it. One of my good friends and someone I really respect, Tim Sales, he ran the math on real estate, right? On being a realtor, which I don't think anyone, thinks is a scam or, has a bad name or anything like that. But he ran the numbers. And every year, about 700,000 people in the United States pay for the exam materials to become a realtor. Okay. So money's out of pocket. And I would argue, someone might argue that, oh, they're just trying to learn real estate, maybe. Well, if you're going to learn real estate, you don't buy exam materials, right? If I want to learn philosophy, I don't buy how to pass the philosophy exam, right? I buy a philosophy book. And so same with real estate. I think if you're buying the exam materials, then you're trying to get a license in real estate. And so about 700,000 every year buy the purchase, pay for the exam materials to become a realtor. About 115,000 ever take the actual exam, and about 50,000 ever pass, with 35,000 ever making any money. Okay. So out of 700,000, 665,000 pay money in, but don't make any. Why isn't there a big expose on this?
That's not a scam.
Because everyone understands it.
Not a scam, right?
Because, why there's no expose, because it's like, it's very understood. They didn't do the work. Now in network marketing, it's some kind of mystical or mysticism, magic. I don't know. People are confused that they're not making any money, but they haven't talked to anybody. They haven't showed up to anything. They haven't offered the product. They haven't offered the service. They haven't prospected anyone. And there's confusion because maybe they were told it would be easy. In real estate, there's no confusion. My wife does luxury real estate here in Naples, Florida. And if she hides her business cards in a drawer, tucks away her signs in the garage, she can pretty much guarantee she's not making money. It's not a mystery. She's not like, I don't understand why. She understands why, because she's not talking to anybody. And so a lot of the people really confused that they didn't make money in network marketing, just didn't talk to anybody. And so we're the only performance-based career that there's confusion and there really shouldn't be. And so, if you don't work on your skills, if you don't learn how to speak to humans, if you don't follow up, if you don't get out there and do the work, then you're making what you should be making, which is probably not much. And so, that's, some of the reasons. And this is the untrained person, right? So the untrained person that sells franchises, they're still only talking to qualified people, right? I had a franchise. Me and a buddy had an advertising franchise. It was $38,000 to purchase, and we had to pay a couple $1,000 a month for a name that no one had heard of, and literally didn't make any money. But when I signed that franchise agreement, it was, this humongous book, and literally every page says probably not going to work, right? There's full disclosure there. They didn't hype me up and tell me how easy it was, right? They told me that it probably ain't going to work. And, I just, bad timing, I wasn't ready, whatever, it didn't work. And so, too often people aren't, the untrained person is talking to another unqualified person. And in that scenario, they're very likely to hype it or say how easy it is or try to, get pushy with them, et cetera. And that's just not what I ever did. Like if someone asked me, when I was building a team, if someone asked me, well, how long until I start making good money? I wouldn't pull the exception. I wouldn't say, well, that guy, Dave, he started making 10,000 his first month. You never know, bro. I didn't go there because I didn't think they would do that. What I did instead is if they said, how long until I'm making big money? I'd say, what if it takes 5 years? You going to make big money in 5 years? In some other way? You got a rich uncle going to pass away, really liked you, right? And so, just being, more disclosure, not using the exception, and being more qualifying would really help a lot of the problem.
I want to talk about why you chose to do this. You could have just stayed and grown and had one of the biggest teams out there and just not, you chose to teach. You chose to teach in an industry where a lot of people need to be handheld. And I'm sure you get this nonstop with your exposure. People, they sometimes don't want to grow. They just want to be around, Ray Higdon and the other people who have the microphone. But you choose year after year, person after person. It's probably impossible to say the number of people that you've affected. You keep pouring into people. Why? Why are you just not focused on you building? Why do you keep giving back in an industry that does vilify us? It does wind up calling it this and that, but you just keep going forward. And I've never seen any negativity in anything you're doing. Why is it? And then how do you maintain such it's I think it's more than positive. Why do you maintain such a strong outlook on helping others?
Yeah, I'll tell you an interesting story. So in 2015, we sold a course and it did really, really well. It generated almost $1 million in 10 days. And we got literally like thousands of testimonials, all these people, sending testimonials. And it was like, man, this is awesome. People, yeah, this is so cool. And then one day I accidentally hit a button in the back office because I'm not very, technical astute. And I hit this button in the back office and it tells me the percentage of people who had finished the course. And it was like 5%. And I'm like, now, if it had been switched, if I had seen 5% first before the thousands of testimonials, I might have quit, man. I might have said, dude, I'm selling this stuff. People aren't even going through it. Like, am I a charlatan? Am I, am I just ripping people off? Right. I mean, they're willingly paying, but they're not going through it. But it made me realize that not everyone's going to take your advice, but it's worth it for the ones that do. And so, I've had, so many people come up to me and share that it changed their life. And, I do what I do selfishly. I do it because it makes me feel good. This is what makes me feel good. So if I had a magic wand and I could pick, how do I spend my days, right? Yes, sure, beach it at some point. But as far as, like outside of, that, which would be very part-time for me, I would spend my days impacting people, impacting groups. That's what makes me feel good. And so, it was a tough choice to leave, to stop building a team and focus on coaching and training. But I felt I could make a bigger difference there. And I felt that was my calling, and I don't like doing anything, halfway. And I was kind of, halfway working with the team, halfway doing coaching and training. And I just didn't like that energy. I wanted to go all in on something. And I asked the question, where do I think I can make the biggest impact? And for me, it was at the profession level. And, network marketing itself is a very unique situation in that there are more, if you pick any profession, I think there are more people that have been through trauma and been through some stuff in the network marketing space that I know that I can help. And that's, again, what makes me feel good is seeing them transform, seeing them break through. And that's what I love to do.
Network marketing is an absolute personal development business. In law enforcement, I never made a detective, but I had so many friends of mine who were detectives, and they said, you spend 5 years in the Dick's office, when you come back out and go on patrol, it's just easy because you see things differently. Has leaving team building and then taking the step up to guide, has that made you look at the career you had prior to it in team building, see it differently, and then as the years go on, mold your teaching methodologies to improve and incorporate? Well, we know this is about making money. We know this is about personal development. We know that, some people are going to need nurturing. Some people are not going to be. How has it made you, what has it increased your strengths in as years have gone by?
Yeah, I definitely had a transformation in leadership style while I was building, because I started as the guy from, for the first probably, man, at least 3 years, 4 years, maybe. I was the guy that was in everyone's face. I was the guy that said, if you're not calling 10 people a day, what's wrong with you? Do you even care about your family? And I was that lunatic. And because I thought that my job was to take my set of desires and get other people to adopt those set of desires. And we're the only profession that really does that, right? If, when I worked for county government, there was a lady there, Judy, and she'd been a secretary for 24 years, same position. And she was good. She was good at it. No one went to Judy and said, Judy, come on. When are you going to step it up? When are you going to get into management? Come on, Judy, let's go. Right. And Judy, how would that make Judy feel? She'd feel like a disappointment. She'd feel like a loser. But that's what happens every day in network marketing. And so I had the transformation of really understanding culture before I stopped team building. And then from being out of team building, I've just realized how many leaders struggle with that. How many leaders are so stressed because they're constantly harping on why their team isn't doing anything. And instead of that, they should be doing something very, very different. And so I'd like to, like most things in my life, I transformed first. And because of that transformation, I can help others transform. And, not just in leadership, but in, emotions and, how to feel about success. I've uncovered so many of my different hangups, over especially the last 3 years, that has helped a lot of leaders. I've trained a lot of $1 million earners multi-million-dollar earners that have all the success, that they wanted, but still don't feel good. They still don't feel great about parenting or relationships or whatever. And so, the breakthroughs and transformations I've had in those realms, I can now help them. And so, like most things, for me at least, I figured out something, I transformed, and then that gave me the insight, to help others, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I got you for a couple more minutes. So number one, I want to plug your stuff. It's rayhigdon.com. Do you have any events that are coming up or anything, that programs you want to send people to? How can they wind up just, getting involved with whatever you're doing now?
Yeah, we just had our annual event a couple of days ago, and so that was a lot of fun. I would say the best, if they're trying to learn from me, is probably YouTube. Higdongroup.com/channel. We have hundreds and hundreds of videos up there, around topics of leadership, recruiting, making money, mindset, a lot of mindset stuff, branding, Instagram, etc. And so I would check those things out. And then, I do a lot of fun skits and, goofy stuff on my Instagram as well that people like.
Yeah. And if anybody ever wants to check out Ray's content, you look at an Instagram, go check out the YouTube content. The value, it's incredible. It's just, Ray, you are a master at entertaining and engaging. And then, all right, now sit down, we're going to educate you. All right, I got a couple more minutes with you. Give me one or two things that you think that the future for network marketing holds that could be different? Meaning, the system's never going to change. Contact, invite, show the plan, follow up, repeat. Do you think that now that people are starting to take it a little bit more seriously, that we're seeing the numbers? I think some studies I saw that at $300 billion in the last 2 years in the network marketing industry. Do you think that it's gaining more validity, gaining more traction? People are going to be working from home. Do you think the industry will change a little bit? Or what do you want to see, or what do you see the direction of network marketing heading in the next 5 years?
Yeah, I think, one shift that I think we're starting to see is we're starting to see less less of this attitude of us versus them kind of thing in two different respects. So, when I started, it was so common to bash jobs, JOB, just over broke, right? And, hey, there's some people that like their jobs. And And so I think that, the industry has matured some in their language of not being us versus them in that scenario. And there's still some old schoolers that do that stuff. But I think I think that kind of language is changing, and that kind of attitude is changing, and it's more of a gig economy, more of a side gig, more of a side income, et cetera, which is way more appealing to way more people. Most people don't believe they can quit their job, and so if that's your pitch, right, for them to get rid of that job, then they probably will never join you. And so I think that we've matured as an industry and a profession around that. And then number two is this, I feel like this is happening less of where companies and leaders feel the need to bash other companies and other leaders. And, that's just not, it's counterproductive. It's not smart, right? Focus on your lane, right? Focus on your farm. And so I like seeing that. It's like, like when someone leaves, okay, now it's one thing if someone leaves your team and they're lying about you, bashing you, stealing people from you and all that stuff, that's one thing. But the assumption that they're now bad because they left, not great. If someone, left a job I worked at, I wouldn't all of a sudden hate them and unfriend them and say they're losers, right? It's very, very strange. And we've had that contributes to the weird stigma, right? People on the outside are like, wait a minute, Tina, who you were friends with yesterday, left and now you hate her? Right? That's weird. That's weird for people outside of the industry, as it should be. And so instead of assuming that someone is leaving and they're just now terrible and you should no longer be friends with them and ostracize them, let's have more love. Let's have more acceptance. Let's be cool. I had my number one leader leave, and, he had a history of leaving companies and this big warfare going on, right? So when he left, he assumed I was going to bash him, and he bashed me, right? I'm going to beat him to the punch, and he bashed me. And I just didn't go there. I said, hey, man, I know you're talking about me, and listen, I wish you the very best. Of course, I'm going to miss you. I wish you the best. I hope this company works out. I hope you rock and roll. I'm rooting for you, bro. And because of the way I handled that, a couple years later, he hired me as a coach, paid me $50,000. And I helped him grow in a different way. I helped him with his brand and, et cetera. And so when we're not so quick to bash and not so quick to hate, we leave, more possibilities out there. And, like my friend Garrett McGraw says, who's the president of the ANMP, the Association for Network Marketing Professionals, he said, we shouldn't be circling the wagons and shooting inward. And that's what happens a lot in network marketing is we kill our own, right? We bash our own. And instead, let's just focus on growth and helping people, because there's a lot of people on their hands and knees every night looking for a solution, looking for a way to make more money, looking for a way to, to meet cool people. And network marketing is full of a lot of really cool people.
I think that's one of the best things that you do is like I said, when I first started listening to material, you gave so much credibility to the industry for people to take it seriously, so that when we're coming into the industry, we treat it with the same respect that we would treat anything else. So thank you for everything you've done. Really appreciate it. RayHigdon.com. Guys, got to check out his content, follow his content, and I look forward to just learning more from you and getting to know you as time goes on. Thank you so much for joining today. Guys,
thanks, man.
Bull of MLM, Network Marketing Warfare. See you guys on the next podcast.